few videos ago, I briefly talked about the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN. Now, let's dive in deeper into ASEAN and explore ASEAN in depth. Hi, I'm Hugo, and I love researching into extraordinary topics. First, let's explore ASEAN's history in depth. According to an ASEAN website titled The Founding of ASEAN, the 5 nation-states, the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand, signed the ASEAN Declaration in August 1967. The ASEAN Declaration was a concise, simple-worded document which declared, among many things, the creation of ASEAN, the organization's aims and purposes in promoting cooperation among a variety of areas like economic, cultural, and education areas, ASEAN's dedication in promoting peace and stability in regard to the United Nations Charter and international law, and most importantly, that ASEAN is a collective organization representing its member states in the Southeast Asian region. Although ASEAN was created during a time of adversity, the ASEAN Declaration organized ASEAN on solid, concrete foundations. These foundations, as stated by the Philippine Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Narciso Ramos, is significant in uniting the nation-states of ASEAN in cohesively and constructively addressing adversity, like with strengthening their relatively weak economies together as a united, collective body and not a disunited alliance. This leads me to discussing the ASEAN Charter, which was created decades later in 2008. According to the ASEAN website, significance of the ASEAN Charter, the ASEAN Charter was ratified by ASEAN's 10 member states in 2008. In this, the Charter made new commitments. These commitments include, but are not limited to, dedicating to a nuclear weapon-free and weapons of mass destruction-free Southeast Asia, reducing barriers like tariffs to economic integration in the region, and to promoting a people-oriented organization where all citizens across all areas of society throughout all the ASEAN member states participate with and in the organization. ASEAN's charter represents the growing determination of the organization to not just be relevant to the world we live in today, but to continue to improve itself to address the challenges of today and tomorrow. These new foundations, like with the promotion of a people-oriented organization, facilitates the environment for positive change by involving people in the process of bettering not just themselves or the nation-states they live in, but the ASEAN organization and thus the world. ASEAN's dedication to upholding perfect values in an honestly imperfect world benefits the organization's credibility through showing the organization's ability to grow in the face of change rather than to stagnate to uncertainty. So, what are ASEAN's relations with the US, and how are they today? Like I said before in a previous video, ASEAN and the US have had a deep relationship with one another, where they benefit each other in trade, security, and upholding democratic values in the region. For instance, according to the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative website titled Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, The United States has traded a lot of goods and services with ASEAN, where goods and services combined totaled an estimated $362.2 billion US dollars in 2020 alone. To add, US foreign direct investment into ASEAN increased by 3.2% from 2019 to 2020, which was led by companies like those from the manufacturing and wholesale industries. This means that US companies have growing interests in investing into Asian markets, more explicitly ASEAN and its member states itself. To add, according to the US Department of State website, the United States and ASEAN strategic partners for the Indo-Pacific, the United States stands committed to renewing its alliances with those in the Asia-Pacific region. In this, Secretary of State Antony Blinken represented the United States at the annual US-ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting, where he aligned, among many dedications, to support ASEAN's economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic by announcing new programs to help ASEAN small and medium-sized businesses vitalize private-public partnerships and support the transition to a greener, cleaner running economy. Likewise, Secretary Blinken announced initiatives to help support young leaders in the ASEAN member states and urged everyone to hold the Burmese military accountable for their violent coup and oppression, which has and is still happening as we speak in Burma, also known as Myanmar. Thus, due to these reasons, the US and ASEAN have had a strong relationship with one another, where they boast strong trade relations and an inherent commitment to progress even through situations that seem like they would regress. The strengthening alliance between ASEAN and the United States shows the growing commitment to be strong in the face of panic, to not yield in the face of despair, and grow from the horrors adversities bring before them. Overall, to conclude, ASEAN was created at a time of adversity, where the organization built a firm foundation in strengthening alliances within the nation-states of the Asia-Pacific region. In this, although the ASEAN Charter was ratified very recently in 2008, the Charter has charted the course for the organization to improve through uncertainty and determine itself to uphold perfect values on this imperfect world. Finally, I talked about ASEAN's relations with the United States, where I discovered that ASEAN has had a deep relationship and continues to have a deep relationship with the US. For instance, recently, the US dedicated, among many things, to assist ASEAN's economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic at the US-ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting. These dedications and more underline the importance the US is giving to ASEAN in caring for its allies and partners all over the world. Thus, although there's more to it, ASEAN is not only progressing, but is excelling in becoming what it strives to be in the world. A united, comprehensive, and dedicated international organization like the European Union half a world away, but altogether made specifically to making a difference in the Asia-Pacific region itself. Thank you for watching my video, and merci et à bientôt.